Oops, fallible human. I thought I had recorded something, I apparently did not. So into the appendix it goes. Which question did I miss? The 9th question. Do I believe in atheism because creationism is the only alternative? No. I think. The question doesn't really make much sense. We're kind of mixing terms here. You're comparing apples and oranges. Well, let's start with the two concepts you got. Atheism, which is the lack of a belief in any form of God, any form of deity, and creationism, which is the belief that a God, specifically a creator-type God, created something, the universe, life, something like that. Atheism doesn't touch on creationism. Atheism is just a lack of belief in a deity, and it doesn't really entail anything else besides that. Even somebody who belongs to some silly religion that believed in spirits or something but actually didn't have a god in the religion, they would technically be atheist. But they'd probably call themselves by whatever religion it was that they had, or it doesn't matter. But I think I know what you're getting to. It's an either-or type of thing. It's either you believe in the Judeo-Christian God who made the universe and did this and sent his only begotten Son, blah, 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 or you're an atheist. You've rejected God. That's a false dichotomy. That means that the two things aren't the only options. I'm an atheist because why? Because there's not enough evidence to believe in the silliness of religion and all of its claims. But I was brought up in a religious environment, and I did really believe for a while. Only when I became a little bit more educated and a little bit more critical about what I had accepted on faith did I really start to doubt. And it took a while, but eventually I gathered enough apparently true facts about the world, tried to reconcile them with my own religious belief, and what I ended up doing was putting my concept of God in a box so small that it turned out to be not the God of the religion that I was in at all. It wasn't. I was conservative and Reformed Judaism is how I was raised, and I had to reconcile my scientific knowledge of the world, the objective, verifiable facts about how the universe is, and my concept of the God as is represented in the Torah. And the two did not mesh. I ended up turning God in my head into some just form. It was a deist kind of concept, like start the universe off, write the laws of physics, and then not do anything else. And that's not the God of the religion that I was brought in. That was a creation of my own mind. That was where I had to put my concept of God, and eventually I just said, I am fooling myself. I have convinced myself of something that I made up. It wasn't the God of my religion. It was my own personal concept of what was left. And it wasn't a God at all. It was just a figment of my imagination. So I discarded the idea. And I didn't actually come out and start calling myself an atheist because I didn't really know what the term was, but I do now, and it's there's a lot of people coming out of the closet, so to speak, because there's a lot of prejudice and misconceptions about people who call themselves atheists and how they're immoral and they eat babies and ridiculous stuff. So yeah, it took a while, but that's where I am. Because creationism is the only alternative? No, I was perfectly willing to believe in the creation story that's in Genesis if there was enough evidence to support it, and there simply wasn't. And I couldn't lie to myself like that. I couldn't ignore the facts. I couldn't fool myself about what I believed in. I had to face the truth, no matter how much I didn't like it. All those, like, the stories in Genesis, I mean, I like that kind of stuff, all that kind of mythology stuff. I think it's really fascinating. I think it would be really cool if the Noah and the flood story was actually true. But it's not. And I had to come to terms with that. It was kind of painful, kind of a letdown, but I just have to be honest with myself. I couldn't convince myself that it was actually true. So I've nothing personal against it. It's just simply not supported by the evidence. That's all. And there was something else that I recorded. I'll attach now. Besides that, I think that was everything that you had. And of course, as usual, it's all just scientific questions, and it's not really questions for atheists. It's questions for scientists. I would be wary that the God that you believe in is only what's called a God of the gaps, which is actually a term that theologians brought up, criticizing fellow theologians who were using any gap in scientific knowledge to shove God in, as it were. That is a bad idea, because as our scientific knowledge increases over time, the places for the God of the gaps to exist get smaller and smaller and eventually close up. Be wary that you're worshiping an explanatory God and not a real... you know what? You're probably right, because I can't think of the alternative. That Archbishop described an alternative, but I don't quite understand what he's talking about. You might, though, being from a religious mindset, you might get it. But I just don't. Which might be an actual physical difference between the two of us. Maybe, maybe not. So, I look stupid? Maybe. But your questions actually did prompt me to research a couple of things that I didn't know the answers to, and that's how we find the answers. We do research and look for them, and if no one's done the research, then by golly, we experiment and try to find the answers. To just accept the answers that happen to be in some book that was written 2,000 years ago, I wouldn't say that would be a good way to go. And believing in something that is apparently not true by all evidence, I think that's looking rather silly, but, that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, peace out.